the big focus of this hour now, the Russian embassy in India has issued a statement over the Bucha massacre. Now, calling out the heinous attack in Bucha, the statement says that it brings back the nightmares of the Nazi crimes during the Second World War. However, dismissing all allegations, Russia has said that they are not at all responsible for what happened in Bucha, and in fact they have held Ukraine responsible for misleading the world, and they've in fact also called it a false flag operation by Ukraine.
Very crucial voting, of course, takes place today for the UNHRC and the ouster of Russia. Russia, of course, at this point in time has made its stand very clear, and it is, of course, sent a strong message to countries that they're either with them or against them. And, if they fail to vote against, Russia's ouster, then that would only mean that they are backing the United States. So it's going to be very interesting, especially how India looks at this, because up until now, at some of the situations where they've had to vote either in favor or against Russia, or even for several other matters that have been taken up at the United Nations and various bodies of it, they have abstained. So, and now what are they really going to do today, with the Moscow making it very clear that in case they do not support Russia, that would mean that they're indirectly supporting the United States, and this is the message that Moscow has put out. So it's a very precarious situation of sorts for India at this point in time, which of course has had bilateral ties with Russia for decades together. But of course, in the last few days, we've also seen some sort of condemnation coming to the killings and to the invasion of Russia into Ukraine in itself. So all eyes, of course, will be on what happens at the UNHRC.
Now, the big focus is on the United Nations General Assembly, the vote which is scheduled to take place today on whether or not Russia should be removed from the Human Rights Council. Now, this is being done in order to send a strong message to Russia that its aggression against Ukraine must end now. Now, on several occasions, the Ukrainian president has criticized the United Nations for not taking enough action against Russia. Now, Russia has, in fact, also warned countries that are part of the United Nations that a yes vote or an abstention will be viewed as an unfriendly gesture by Russia. We are, in fact, being joined by Major retired Major General A.K. Siwach, who's also a defense analyst, to understand what this means, the UNHRC vote, what it means for Russia, and also what it means for India. Sir, thank you so much for your time on Mirror Now. I would like to begin with, understanding what this means for Russia, because the only time we saw a country's membership being suspended was, back in 2011. Now, that was Libya for the same reasons, blatant human rights violations. Now, Russia, however, in its latest statement has entirely blamed Ukraine. In fact, they've also said that this is a false flag operation by Ukraine. So, what does this mean in terms of, for Russia to lose its membership at the UN?
Absolutely. See, as far as United Nations Human Rights Council is concerned, there are 47 members. And for UNGA to now vote to take out Russia from the United Nations Human Rights Commission, it should have a two-thirds majority. So almost about 32 members. Now the question comes is, what is the stance India is taking? India has to walk on a very tight rope. जो हिंदी में कहते हैं कि एक तरफ हुआ एक तरफ खाई. So as far as India is concerned, we have a very good relation with US also, but at the same time we have got very good relation with Russia. Now the point comes is, we have condemned this killing in Bucha. We say these are horrendous, sort of situation, and we are totally against it. And they are alleged to have been done by the Russian troops. But the fact is, it is not proved beyond doubt that these have been done by Russian troops. The Russians are saying that they have not done it. There is another narrative going on. Possibly this is a false flag operation, or possibly done after the Russian troops have withdrawn from Bucha. So the point is, we are asking for an inquiry which is transparent and which is independent, and any action to be taken thereafter. You cannot take an action before a person is declared as guilty. So our view of thinking is that give an opportunity to the Russia to prove that they have not done it, rather than now going and taking action. As far as India is concerned, we have got, I suppose, considering our national interest in our mind, the best course of action will be to abstain itself. We have been abstaining earlier also. We will abstain again, because that's the best course of action which we can take on today, because considering our national interest, we cannot favor Russia or we cannot favor US. Both are very important to us. But at the same time, we have categorically said that whatever has happened there in Bucha is not excusable, and this cannot be tolerated. It is a sheer human rights violation. But who has done it, it is still not been proved. The inquiry will only able to prove whether it is Russia or someone else. Till then, you cannot punish Russia. I suppose our best course of action as on today in United Nations General Assembly will be abstaining the way we have done it, but with a caution, telling to the world that we are not with a country which is basically doing a human right violation. So I suppose this is the most mature step in the present situation, considering our national interest into consideration, that we will abstain again from UNG.
That's right. In fact, so we have, on one hand, we've been very vocal, especially after, what we've seen in Bucha, that such kind of an aggression is not something that is, that India welcomes. But on the other hand, when it comes to the crucial votes in the UN, we have on almost like 11 crucial occasions we've abstained. Now, we of course don't know what stand India is going to take today in today's vote. But after the Bucha massacre, the world is watching. There has been a lot of focus on India and India's stance. And in a way, the world is trying to say that this is the time now, that the time has come to protect humanity. How significant do you think that whatever stand that India takes today, what kind of message are we going to send to the world?
Absolutely. See, the point is, it's a tightrope. In case it was proved beyond doubt the Russian troops have done, there was an inquiry which was conducted, and it was transparent, and they have declared that Russia would have done, then obviously the pressure would have been on India. But as on today, you cannot declare Russia as guilty without giving them an opportunity to prove that they are not guilty. So the question is this: we are saying that there is a two narrative which are going. The Russians are telling that they have not committed any human rights violation, Bucha, and possibly they were done once they have withdrawn from there. Whereas the Ukrainian troops are telling it was done by Russian. But in case they have been done by Russian, we are against that. We will not vote for Russia. But that has not proved beyond doubt. There is no inquiry done. Once the inquiry proves it, then only we can do it. So therefore, we have to consider now, as on today, it is not certain who has done it, and therefore blaming Russia will not be correct. And therefore, the best course of action, considering our national security interest into consideration, abstaining itself. We are not favoring Russia in any way. We are not saying that we are with Russia. We are only telling that as on today, it has not proved beyond doubt that Russia is involved in this human rights violation in Bucha. We have condemned this violation. We are saying whosoever done it, India is not with it. But at the same time, we cannot blame Russia till it is proved beyond doubt.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your time and joining us here on Mirror Now. We're also being joined by Deepak, who is reporting live from Ukraine. Deepak, now we're seeing that the Russian forces have, withdrawn from the north, and now the focus is moving towards the southern and the eastern coast of Ukraine. Where are you currently, and what is the situation on ground?
Well, as of now, I'm in Kyiv, and we've, of course, been extensively traveling around the Oblast region, where the Russian troops, of course, in the last few days, they officially say they have pulled back. But I just spoke to the Brigadier General of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. He, in fact, says otherwise. He says that the stiff resistance by the Ukrainians and also the fight that they gave to the Russians is what made them flee from the Kyiv Oblast region and even Chernihiv. So that's an interesting statement that came in from him just a while ago. And of course, like you were mentioning, while this particular area right now has been liberated from the Russian troops, On the eastern side of Ukraine, of course, the shelling, the explosions still continue. There is, of course, a big problem as far as Mariupol is concerned, because thousands still believed to be trapped inside, residential houses, inside bunkers, not able to get a corridor where firing has stopped for them to be rescued. The Red Cross has been repeatedly trying to take up this issue, both with Ukraine and Russia, to stop, the shelling on either sides, to create a corridor of sorts so that the evacuation can happen of these residents. We've also seen in the Odessa region as well multiple explosions being reported over the last few days. Luhansk and Donetsk is another region where, of course, the shelling continues. So it doesn't seem like the war is anywhere coming to an end. Another round of negotiation is expected very soon. The previous round of negotiation, of course, bore some sort of fruit when you look at the situation, at least around the capital. But when you speak to, the members of the government or even the armed forces, they definitely believe that Russia is coming back once again for the capital.
All right, Deepak, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for getting us all those details. We're slipping into a very short break.